Ever wonder why old cars were so cranky? They'd sputter and cough on cold mornings, they'd hesitate when you stepped on the gas, and they guzzled fuel like there was no tomorrow? The answer, it turns out, lies in one simple but really flawed piece of old-school engineering.
So, meet the villain of our story, the carburetor. For decades, this was the only way engines mixed their air and fuel. But it had a dirty little secret, one that's all about basic physics, that made it incredibly wasteful and honestly just not very smart. And this image right here just lays it all out. See, air is light. It moves easily. But gasoline? It's a liquid, it's heavy, it's kind of lazy, it's got inertia. So as that air zips through all the twists and turns of the intake, the heavy fuel droplets just can't keep up. They get flung to the outside of the corners and pile up, which means the cylinders at the end get way too much fuel, while the poor cylinders in the middle are left starving. This whole mess is called maldistribution, and it's basically a recipe for a terrible, inefficient engine.
And the consequences of this? Well, they were things every driver from back in the day knew all too well. You're wasting gas, you're pumping out dirty emissions, and the engine's power is all choppy and unpredictable. Just trying to start the car on a cold day was a total roll of the dice. There had to be a better way.
And that better way wasn't just an improvement. It was a full-on revolution. It meant throwing out all that old mechanical guesswork and embracing digital precision. This was the dawn of electronic fuel injection, or as we all know it, EFI.
Okay, look at this. The difference is just night and day, right? On the left, you've got the carburetor's chaotic, sloppy mess. But on the right, that's the electronic solution. Instead of just dumping a puddle of fuel at the start of the race, you have a precise injector that sprays this superfine atomized mist of fuel right at the doorstep of each cylinder. Just like that, the entire problem of distribution is gone.
And the wins? Oh, they were huge, and they were instant. Suddenly, every single cylinder got the exact same perfect air-fuel mixture. And because you got rid of that clunky carburetor blocking the airway, the engine could suddenly take a deeper breath, which means more power. That fine mist of fuel also cooled everything down, which stopped dangerous engine knock. All of a sudden, your car ran just as smoothly going up a steep hill or taking a sharp turn, situations that would have totally confused an old carburetor.
So EFI is obviously way better. But how? How does it know exactly how much fuel to spray and when to spray it? Well, it's not just one magic part. It's an entire system that's having a constant, high-speed digital conversation. Let's break down how that chat actually works. So the whole thing really boils down to this incredibly powerful idea, a feedback loop. You've got sensors that provide input, a computer that processes that input, and little motors that create an output. And this isn't a one-and-done deal. This loop is happening hundreds, even thousands of times every single second.
At the absolute center of it all is the brain. In the car world, we call it the electronic control unit, or ECU. This little box is the shot caller. It takes in all the data and makes every single decision about how much fuel the engine gets. But you know, a brain is useless if it's blind and deaf, right? That's where the senses come in. The ECU has this whole network of sensors that act as its eyes and ears. They're constantly measuring everything: how much air is coming in, how hot the engine is, the exact position of all the moving parts, and, this is the cool part, your intent. A sensor on the gas pedal tells the ECU exactly how badly you want to go fast.
So, the ECU gets all this info from its sensors, crunches the numbers in a fraction of a second, and then it acts. Its main job is to send a command to the fuel injectors. It's a simple electrical signal that tells the injector exactly when to open and for precisely how long to stay open to deliver the perfect shot of fuel. Okay, so the ECU sends a signal, but what does that signal actually mean? How does a little zap of electricity translate into a specific amount of fuel? What's the actual language that the ECU is speaking to the injectors?
It all comes down to this one crucial term, pulse width. See, a fuel injector is basically just a tiny, fast-acting valve. It's either fully open or fully closed. So the ECU doesn't control the amount of fuel by opening it halfway. Instead, it controls the precise amount of time the injector stays open. That duration, measured in tiny fractions of a second, milliseconds, is the pulse width. It really is the currency of power in an engine. And here's where it all clicks into place. Let's see it in action. When the ECU senses that you've mashed the gas pedal to the floor, it immediately commands a long pulse width. It holds those injectors open longer to dump in more fuel for maximum power. But the instant you lift your foot off the gas to coast down a hill, it does the opposite. It shrinks that pulse width way down, or maybe even cuts it to zero,
to save every last drop of fuel. That is intelligent adaptation happening in real time.
And of course, engineers didn't stop there. This whole idea of precision just got better and better. The earliest systems, called TBI, were a simple first step. They basically just swapped out the carburetor for an injector. But the real game changer was multi-point injection, or MPFI, which gave every cylinder its very own injector. That was the gold standard for decades, and today, the most advanced engines use gasoline direct injection, or GDI, which puts the injector right inside the cylinder itself for the absolute ultimate level of control.
So, when you step back and look at the whole story, what's the final verdict? Well, the move from clumsy, dumb mechanics to intelligent electronics wasn't just an upgrade, it was a total victory that completely rewrote the rules of what a car could be.
So let's break it down, pros and cons. The advantages are just undeniable. You get way more power and efficiency, your car starts every time, and you're putting out far fewer emissions. Now, there's no free lunch, right? The system is more complex. It depends on a lot of sensors, and if one of them fails, it can be trickier and more expensive to fix.
But at the end of the day, that trade-off was a no-brainer. This one idea, getting precise, intelligent, second-by-second control over the air-fuel mixture, is the absolute, non-negotiable foundation of pretty much every modern engine. It's the brain that finally allowed the brawn to reach its full potential.
And that kind of makes you think, doesn't it? This same exact principle, sensors for input, a processor to think, and actuators for output, it's not just in your car, it's everywhere. It's in your phone, your smart thermostat, the entire power grid. So it makes you wonder, what other invisible brains are out there, silently running the world we rely on every single day?